Hello, it's Alana. How is everyone? I will, as always, just get this opened on my page here so I can follow along with you guys. Did anyone guess what we were going to be making? You'll have to comment. Hi, Janet. And let me know if you guessed based on my Facebook Live post what we would be making. I've had a few people send me this as an idea, and then I've also seen a few people do it. So I will walk you guys through how to do this. Of course, it doesn't want to, it's being funny the last couple days getting this to load for me. So 1 second while I get this to open for me. It'll just take a second. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Patty. So while I'm waiting for this to load on my end, let me know if you guys have seen this technique done already. And also let me know if you guys have the Simply Marbleous DSP in your collection. It is a celebration item. So it's one of the items that you can get, hi Linda, that you can get with the, hi Paulette, the celebration offering. Linda actually sent me a photo of a card that she made with this technique. This is sure acting funny on my end. Hopefully this will come up right away. Yesterday it took a couple of minutes before it would load on my end so that I could read along with your guys' comments. So hopefully it will not take that long today. Here we go. Just make sure I turn the volume way down. Eventually I get there. Eventually I find how to find my page. Hi, Karen. All right, so I'm just going to catch up with your guys' comments now that it loaded there. I could see some on my phone while I was waiting for it to load on the iPad. But thanks, Janet. I'm glad you watched yesterday's. You haven't seen, but you have the marble paper. So, Michelle, hopefully you will be set up to do this, and Karen and Ramona. So hopefully you guys will learn something that you can take and go forward and create. So before we get into this, I will just remind you guys, we have the registration deadline for the Waves of the Ocean retreat coming up. That is, registration is open until tomorrow so that we can do our best to get everybody the supplies on March 1st when the ordering period opens up to get the Waves of the Ocean product. So Laura and I will be joining together to do this retreat on April 2nd. It is virtual. We will have a class facilitated by Laura and a class facilitated by myself. It is $125 to get the bundle, as well as partial packs of the DSP, the foil paper, and these gorgeous rhinestones. I have shown them to you guys before, but that is them. I used a few of them on this card here. But we will be giving you guys some of each of all of those. And then you'll get the 2 full classes. You get access to the Facebook page, tutorials, the videos to always come back to. And then, of course, we have fun things like draws and challenges for you guys as well. There's also an access pass if you already have the suite and you just want to join us with the tutorials so that you can prep your own kit. It is $25 to do that. So the registration link is on my page. Maybe I can even add it into the description of this video. But if you need help finding it, just let me know. So I promised I would come back and show you guys a sample made with that product. Excuse my inky fingers. But I totally cased this one. Linda Cullen, I think, is her name that I cased this one from. But she had made this really clean, beautiful card. So I wanted to have something to show you guys today. It looks like it might be a little frozen. All right, but I love that wave stamp. And we'll have lots more projects with our retreat to show you guys too. So that is that one. And then this is the card I'm going to make with you guys today. So this is a Northern Lights technique done with the Simply Marbleous DSP. So it uses this sheet here. So we're going to take this sheet and turn it into this Northern Lights effect. So you can see with this, oh gosh, like marbled effect here, how we'll play with these white lines in here to add ink and then turn it into this effect here. Am I going live at 7? I am not sure I'm going to get that far, Janet. I was hoping I could get another project made. that might not happen, but I will at 4:30 tomorrow again as well, before my stamp club at 6:30. All right. So to do this, I'm using this piece here that is the pool party version of this paper. This is a card that Patty Bennett came up with. So if you guys don't follow her, she's amazing. She's in the US. And it was her idea to use this and turn it into the Northern Lights and then combine it with the Horizons DSP. So all of you Stamp Club members and anyone else who did the Horizons retreat, you guys have this paper, and a lot of the rest of you do too. So you can use this DSP to layer in front of this to get this pretty mountain Northern Lights look. Do you see Ruby here? She's gonna have to leave in a minute, but Ruby wanted to hop up. She's very jealous now that Kitty's getting all this attention with her frostbite. So Ruby's always got to be in someone's lap, but especially right now, it's like she just wants some extra love. All right, so I was saying that it's this piece of paper from the Simply Marbleous. This is from the On the Horizons, and then I've used the trees from the Mountain Air bundle and added those. Patty did hers a little bit differently. She stamped over top of the mountain layer and the sky layer, but I just wanted to bring in the die cuts from this one here, so I used those and then added a little bit of embellishments, but I'll show you guys all about that. So I just need to go and pass the dog off. All right, we still have the doors off here because we're painting them, so there isn't a way to block her from coming in. All right, so we'll get started with this. I'll show you guys the colors that I have. I just used the same colors that Patty had used. So I have Granny Apple Green and a blending brush. I'll start with that one. Gorgeous Grape and a blending brush. Bermuda Bay and a blending brush. And I just used the blending brush, this one here, in these tones. So I use this with Bermuda Bay, Pool Party. I might even have another blue that I use that in. I pulled in some Magenta Madness, which is a little bit different if you've seen Patty's tutorial. And then Night of Navy, and that's what I'll use to fill in the space so that after we add the color, then it just makes it look more like a dark sky. So I'll try to keep that so that you guys can see it, but I might have to move it around as my work surface gets a little more inky. Okay, so this mat, for anyone who hasn't been around for a while, this mat is laminated with a glossy finish, so I can work straight on this and then just wipe it clean. So if you see me tapping off on here and then picking that ink up off of there, that is why. So just open that one there, and then always, I actually need to cut this down first, and I'm going to just match up my pattern. So you can see I wanted these swoops here. I wanted that, you know how the lines of the Northern Lights, they kind of give direction. So I'm copying that idea. So I want to cut this so that I have this section, cutting it at 4. And then I want 5 1/4. So because this is 6 inches, I'm going to just cut 3/4 of an inch off the bottom. And then that will leave me with this 5 1/4 piece. And make sure you save this. This is really pretty paper on the back side too. Just make sure that I have not cut off more than I want. Okay, and so now I can go ahead and add in some Granny Apple Green into these sections here. So just make sure you tap off first, and then I'm going to fill in the white area. And then I always tap off first just so that I don't get a really bold area, that blob there where I don't want it. So I'm filling in these white sections. So that we get that detail over the lightest parts. And then I'm going to give this one a little bit more up through the middle here. Okay, so I've got that so far. So now I'll just set this aside for now. And then I'm going to bring in some Magenta Madness. So just before I end up with pink all over that, I'll just wipe that off. And if I need to bring in more of the Granny Apple Green, then I can just bring that back in again. So now Magenta Madness, and then dab off again. See, this one gives a really bold blot, and I don't want that on here. I did my first one, I forgot, and so I had this big pink blob where I didn't want it, so that's why I'm super cautious to make sure that I do that. And then you can just pick up from that ink again. If you have daubers, you could also use those. If you don't have blending brushes, I feel like you could try them. And then I'm going to try to make this pink a little more bold, because by the time I come over with the Night of Navy afterwards, it's going to tone down the pink some. And so now I'll go over this one here, and I might even just do more pink than Gorgeous Grape on this one too, because the Gorgeous Grape blends in so much with the navy afterwards. All right, and then I'll put a little bit more over on this side here, over these white lines at the end. These will mostly disappear under the navy in the end, but and then I think I'll put a little bit more of the Granny Apple Green in here, because we're going to see that a little bit more once we put the mountains there. All right, so that's good for the Magenta Madness, and it looks terrible at this stage. Like when you look at this, you're like, what is that? It does not look very good. But once you add in all of the navy and the extra layers, it pulls it all together. Even once you've just added the navy, it still looks like it's missing something, but I will add in some other details that will help pull it all together. So I just need a little bit more of the Granny Apple Green. Just gonna come in here with that. Do you guys ever forget to dab off first and then you wish that you hadn't done that? With this one, it's a little bit more forgiving. Yeah, it is fun, Linda. I've been having fun with this one. There's so many different ways to do Northern Lights too, that if you have a different method, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so now I will bring in a little bit of the Bermuda Bay, and I'll do that through here over these lines. This one again is a little, you don't notice it as much. I might not see this one in the end once the cabin is on there, but just in case. And I'm trying to go this time here in more of an up and down motion, because I don't want to take away too much of this green and magenta. And I'll find that I have to do that a little bit with, I think I'm going to do the Gorgeous Grape next first. When I apply the Night of Navy, I have to do that as well, so that it doesn't totally overpower everything else. So I'll just move that one for a sec. See this one here, my ink pad is so inky that I've got that big blob there. Have you guys done Northern Lights in any other methods? Let me know if you've tried it. Oh my gosh, look what I did. I forgot to dab off. See, that's what you don't want to do. I'm gonna have to go with it, but look at that mess. We'll see if we can make it work once we add in the navy. Do as I say and not as I do. If this one doesn't work, then I can always do it again later. I don't think this is going to bring any of that off, but I'm going to try. No, it's not coming off. All right. What's your guys' vote? Use this one or redo it? See if I can disguise it with the navy, or start over. I'll see if I can disguise it. We'll see how far I get with it. Use it. I knew that Janet would answer that. It's meant to be art. If Leanne was here, she'd tell me it's art. It's not perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to use the Night of Navy. I don't really need to focus on the bottom too much because we're going to put this mountain layer. And I have a piece of the mountain layer. I used the top of this sheet already, so it's kind of a perfect piece left over. And it's going to cover this, so I don't need to worry about applying the technique to the bottom. It is handmade, thank you. That's what Leanne always says. So now I'll just keep rotating this around until, so that I can work with my right hand while I blend. And then that way I don't have to be working like this. I can just keep turning the paper as much as possible anyway. I might have to a little bit. And then you just want to be careful that you don't bend your paper while you're blending, otherwise you're going to get a big kink in it. It's never about being perfect. How you hide the mistakes, that is very true. Some of us are better at hiding our mistakes than others, and I am not saying I'm good at hiding the mistakes, but I've certainly had to try. So in here now, this is where I'm going to try and go a little bit more in an up and down motion instead of in circles, so that I don't completely overlap the color of the, I'm going to dab a little around here with the navy. See if I can disguise that a bit. So if I do a little bit of dabbing as opposed to just blending over there, then maybe I can blend that blob out a little bit. Is it working? It's helping hide it some. My navy might be a little darker on, put my ribbon there. Oh yeah, maybe I should switch my elements on this card and move everything over. I think I might even have room. My cabin wouldn't be, or not the cabin, but this part of the mountain here, it would be over to the other side, but that might work. If I put the mountain there and the trees here and the ribbon up there. Okay, Michelle, you might be onto something. I might just have to mirror image this card, and then that might work. There's no perfect card maker either, right? So here I'm going more in the motion to follow these lines as opposed to circular, so that I can still kind of keep that direction of the swirls. I feel like this is kind of helping blend it out some. My hands will be very blue. Look at that. It's your sample, right, Brenda? This is the sample. We'll go, this is my sample and this is the one I can give away. And then I'll just bring some of this navy in around the edges. So the one that I did here with the pink, you kind of lose that one in the end, and a little bit at the top too, because you want to blend. You don't want all of the edges to not be navy, because that would look kind of silly if you had all this navy here and then it was really light around the edges here. So whatever color you have around the edge, you sort of lose a little bit of it anyway. And then I'm going to try and bring in a little bit of the navy up in here, and then a little bit through here. So we'll still see the green, but it will blend in a little bit more. And then same thing here. And then I'm going to try to come in between these two sections here a little bit. So we still see our colors that we put there, but tying it in a little bit. That blob is still pretty dark. So for anyone that has joined in since, who all has this Simply Marvelous paper that you guys can give this a try with? I did say I would do a draw today too, so I will have to come back and at least get that draw done. I don't think that I'm going to see this here, but just in case. Okay, so how is that looking to you guys? I feel like I need a little bit more navy right in here, just so it doesn't look like it doesn't blend in enough now that I made this part here so dark. Again, once we complete this with all of the splotches and the rest, it'll be okay. So I probably shouldn't have gone over this one quite so much. I'll see if I'm gonna bring in a little bit more of the Granny Apple Green over top, but first I need to wipe this off. And if I spray this with stamp cleaner, it will help take even more of this off. But first I just need to move this paper out of the way. And if I run it under the tap, it pretty much just comes right clean. There we go. And then to brighten this up here, I'm going to come over that with the green again. There we go. There. And then we'll just wipe that again. All right. So next, I'll just close these up and then I'll show you guys the next step that makes this look a little bit more like a starry sky. Make sure you close your ink pads. If David was here, he would tell me I'm gonna get those colors everywhere. Get all of this out of the way. Yeah, it's not that noticeable anymore. You can kind of see it, but I think I might go with the strategy of the bow over the ribbon on that side. And it's not, it's a little bit crazier than this one, but that's okay. All right, now I have a block here that I put some Whisper White Craft refill ink. So you guys saw me use that last night when I mixed it with re-inkers, but now I just squeezed some onto a block. There is a little blob up here too. That is Wink of Stella, so we'll use that separately as well. But this one here is the Whisper White Craft refill, and then I'm going to use my fine tip aqua painter again. So I had put just a little bit of water onto my block. I just want like a little bit. You don't need a lot. So I'm just squeezing a drop out of here, and then I'll just swirl that around so that I can pick up some of that craft ink. I'll move my other card out of the way so that I don't get it all over that. And then I can just tap all over here to get a starry night sky. And if you have something like this, just anything that you can tap against, it'll help get that pattern, the flecking all over there. Now I need a little bit more. I don't know if you guys can see it from the camera, but I will with all the light here, but I'll bring it closer so that you guys can see. But just doing this, you get that nice, I'll hang on a second to make sure that that shows up for you guys. So you can see the, sorry, that was a little bit too high. So you can see all of the white flecks there. And then to add some that are a little bit shiny, I am going to grab my Wink of Stella and I'll use this little bit. So I squeezed some out onto the block. And now I will pick it up with the tip of that brush. Oh, there's some more still coming out of the marker. I put it on the block just so that I have a little bit more control as opposed to trying to squeeze it into the tip. And then you can just use the cap and tap over that. So I do need to pick up a little bit more. And then you get the combination of the shimmery splotches and the white. I love that. And just that little bit, it helps disguise any of those little bits after, or the little imperfections. These tiny little spatters help disguise it all. There we go. I love this. Now, before you work on your space, make sure you wipe all that off, or you're going to end up with splotches of Whisper White and Wink of Stella everywhere. And they definitely will smear because they stay wetter longer. So just wipe that off before you carry on. All right. So now we can build the rest of the card. So I'll bring this back in so you guys can see that. And I'll show you the elements that I need to alter. So I've cut these trees from the, I think it's called Majestic Mountain, and they're too big. So I just trim those smaller. So I'll set those aside for now. And I need to trim this piece down as well. So this one is the one that has the, I'll show you guys. It is the back. I don't think I've ever posted this card yet. This was a challenge card. So it's the back of this one here. I love this. This is one of my favorite pieces, both front and back. So it's the lower part of this here where I got this from. All right. So now you're just going to fussy cut this out. And you don't need to be perfect. This was something that I saw Patty do as well. It does not have to be right to the line because there isn't really a distinct line there to cut along. So here, I'll actually just give you guys a chance to help me vote here. Do I mirror this and put this over here and then the trees here? If so, I need to make sure that I do this portion. I feel like I should do that. And then I can put my little ribbon up here. I think that's what I'm going to do. Reverse it, right? Janet, you're saying no, don't put it on this side. Is that what your no is for? Think that this should be on the same side? Here, I'll cut the whole thing and then that'll give you guys a chance to comment. Okay, so I'm just kind of going along this line here. Again, it is always easier, I find, to rotate your paper as opposed to your scissors. And then, because this is a little bit big, turns out I am rotating my scissors more than my paper. Make a liar out of myself. Are you guys crafting anything today? I have more samples with Waves of the Ocean that I need to make. And then we're still wrapping up our online sale. We've got a few of the shipping packages. I think Ryan's working on quotes right now while I'm stamping with you guys. I just have a few packages left to cross-check. And then we can finish up the shipping quotes. Okay, so let's lay this here now that we can see that. And this will be about that far down. And then these trees will be smaller, so keep in mind that that would be there. And I think I threw a tree on the floor. I lost one. It was there a second ago. Okay, did any of you see where I put it? Might need to quickly cut another one. These disappearing trees. Oh, here it is. These little black trees are easy to disappear. Linda, you used the Wink of Stella and the white too? All right. Those are two things that I feel like are a staple in your craft room. The Whisper White Refill and Wink of Stella. It's in the paper just trimmed. Hi, Shauna. These trees are the Majestic Mountain trees, Janet. And look at those fingers, all that blue ink. So if I put this here and just pretend this is smaller and this goes here, it'll kind of help disguise that. Is this okay? I think I'll go for switching it. And I'll cut this over here at the 4-inch. All right, so now I need to trim this down to 4 inches. Hopefully I don't regret this. And I also need to line this up, and then I can see here that's about how high I want it. So I can take off about 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. So I will do that as well. Okay. So now this will line up along the bottom. And then instead of stamping the greeting right here, I'll move it over to this side because I'm going to put these trees over on this side here. So for that, I have my Stamparatus. So I'll just have to adjust the stamp because I had it all set up for the other side, but that's an easy fix. So I actually have an extra Stamparatus foam mat. I think these are actually on the clearance rack for like $2 if any of you need a second one. So I'll just take this. I find with polymer, sometimes you need that extra little bit of space. And I need to just make sure that my, oh, to flip that over. I had this one here from the Waves of the Ocean card. But I do want to clean this off first so that when I place it down on my piece of DSP to line it up, that I'm not placing it down with ink on it. And I don't like to put it straight against the hinge. So if you're wondering why this is in the middle of my paper, that is why. I'm a little fussy that way with polymer. You just need a little bit of room away from the hinge. And of course it moved, but this will, I know where my line was. So that's okay. And before I fully stamp it down, I will just take a look to make sure that it's still good. So we should be good. I just want to make sure my paper is straight. So this is with Memento. I was telling you guys yesterday that I don't like to use StazOn on my polymer stamps. So this is why I'm lining it up in here, because if I don't get a nice clean stamp the first time, then I can still ink this up and get my greeting nice and crisp. So there we go. I like that with 2 passes through with the ink. There we go. So that's that. Okay. Now, I will glue this down first, and then I actually distressed the edges just a little bit of the DSP. So we'll get this stuck down, and hopefully my Tombow plays nice. Yeah, there we go. When you're using Tombow, you also don't need to go, you don't want to go right to the edge because that will spread out. Tombow is very generous. But this will allow me a little bit of space to line that up and make sure that it's all straight. There we go. So I've got this now, and then I'll distress my edges just a little bit of this upper part. And you just got to be really careful when you're doing this. There. Okay, now we need this to line up on here, but I'm with you guys. You can hardly tell that that big blob was there. So if you do that, don't be afraid to just keep going. I almost gave up on it. Here I am telling you guys, don't be afraid, and I almost gave up on that piece, but I think it turned out okay, especially now that we're going to add the ribbon over top. And I'm just making sure before I glue this down that this is all going to fit nicely. So I'm just dry fitting first before I commit to gluing that down. So that looks good. Now I can take this piece and glue it down to the white layer. And I am using Tombow again so that I have that little bit of wiggle room, because I have a very thin reveal of my mat of white. Oh, I just smudged. Just make sure your little blots are dry first, because I just smeared one. That will get hidden behind a tree. Again, one of you guys said it's all in how you hide your mistakes. So that mistake will be hidden, but that one's no big deal. Now I need to trim down my trees here. So you can see I have one that's about this tall, so I can take this one and snip off my branches up to about here. So I just cut right along the trunk line to shorten this, and then snip off your bottom branches. There we go. And then I just snip this trunk down a little shorter as well. So if your dies are too big and it's one that you can alter a little bit, you can make your die cuts work for you and have a little more versatility. Now I should have picked out all of these little negative spaces beforehand, but I didn't. And I don't have my die brush handy. Do you guys use the die brush? There we go. So that's about the same size. That's going to go over here. And then this one here is even shorter. So I am going to cut this one off to about here. So just find a section where it makes sense to snip it off in between those branch layers. Like here, that one made sense, so that one just falls off on its own. And then here, I'll just reach in here and snip this off. I don't need to cut this whole bottom section off because this is all coming off. So just snip that. Your paper snips are amazing. If you don't have paper snips, I don't even know if they're available right now. I think they might be again. Around Christmas time, they weren't. You just found your brush, Brenda? I still have the old one, actually. I think I might have the, so if you don't have the old one and you're looking for what to get, there is the attachment tool for the take your pick tool. And I use the, thank you, Linda. Janet, they're the Majestic Mountain dies. I always call them the Mountain Air dies because they go with the Mountain Air stamp set. Brenda, I know you have the Mountain Air and Majestic Mountain. But I always call them the wrong name. I do that often when the Stampin' Dies don't have the same name, which they rarely do have the same name. So, all right, so now we have our two shorter trees, and I just used a tiny little bit of Tombow to tack these down. Again, you do not need a lot because Tombow goes so far, and these are just tiny little dots of it. If you're not comfortable with using Tombow, you could also die cut these with some adhesive sheets on the back, and then they will already be sticky. But I'll bring this closer and show you just how little, like these are just the tiniest little dots. And again, excuse my horrendously inked fingers. Now I just want to, I'm going to line these up beside each other so I can kind of gauge where I place that height-wise on the card. And then I'll just hold that down a little so that all of those little glue dots tack down. Okay, so that's one. And if you have a silicone sheet, which I used last night, you have one that's not covered in ink like mine are, then you can also, which is another good reason to have more than one, if you put too much glue on your die cut, you can just flip it over and tack it down to the silicone sheet to help remove some of that so that it doesn't spread out on your project. So I just staggered these a little bit. Again, tack that down. Linda, did you do yours with Majestic Mountain dies or did you stamp? The technique that Patty had done, as I was saying, if you guys weren't here right at the beginning, she stamped over top of both layers so that the trees were stamped right in here. I just decided to bring in the die cuts was all, but you could do either one if you don't have these dies, or even if you have other trees, even the ones, the whimsical trees that we had at Christmas time, those would be really pretty. And actually I was super tempted to use them because I kept mine, but I wanted to be able to show you guys something that you can still get your hands on. So I'm now going to cut this little piece of ribbon. This is the white ribbon from the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. So you get this white ribbon in it, and you also get this really pretty gingham, and you get this. So it comes with all of these. I use this white one a lot just like this. This is a very common little embellishment that I like to do if I just need a little bit of something and I'm not sure what. I find this an easy add-on. So I've just cut a small little piece like this, and then it's just folded in half and offset a little bit. And then now I can staple that onto my card. So I will just grab my stapler, and then I just staple it right along there. We've got that. And then I might need to just clean these up. I'll do that after. So now I have a little bow. I showed you guys how I used the strands from the, I think it's called Simply Elegant Trim. So this is the gold. I used the silver, and I just pulled it apart and took a strand out of it and tied a little bow. I didn't want a big thick amount, so I just have a tiny little bit. And I think it was a live the other day where I showed you guys how to do that. If it wasn't, then let me know, and I will have to come back. Me too, Shauna, especially when I use vellum. The stapler is like my best friend when I'm using vellum to attach things. So I've done a lot of the alcohol ink on blends, or I mean, sorry, the blends and alcohol ink on vellum. And this is why I use that often, because then I can staple the vellum down to whatever layer and it will hold it in place, and then I don't have to worry about my adhesive showing. So that is why I often do that. All right, so here we go. I will still add the rhinestones, but I have to mirror image them. But so far, this is what I've got. So you really can't see that big blob that I had. I would have maybe added some more navy in here just to give a little bit more distinction, but it's kind of blobby there, but that's okay. We'll go with it. And then I've got some of the, 2 of the smaller sizes of rhinestones to add here. And so I will just mirror image these, just like I did everything else. And then there we go. Do you guys keep rhinestones on hand? I feel like they are a quick, easy embellishment. Now I just need to glue this down to my card front, and I do have a white layer to go inside, because on black unless you have a chalk marker or a white gel pen, you need something inside a black card to be able to write on. So again, if you missed the beginning, Patty Bennett had shared this technique with this particular paper. I had seen it a few times. It was gorgeous. And then when we got talking here about what items should I use or what celebration products should I showcase, a couple of you sent me the Northern Lights with the Simply Marbleous paper. So I figured, why not? Let's do it. So I had to teach myself how to do this. And I hope that you guys learned something. And I hope that you'll give it a try if you have this paper. If you don't have this paper, you can still get it up until tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day. I don't think it's out of stock. I think it's still available. I should have probably checked that before we went live. But even if it is not available and you have it on hand, I hope you learned an extra something fun that you can use yours for. All right, so there we go. Those are the mirror imaged versions of this card. I hope you guys like it. Hope you learned something new. Thank you very much to Patty Bennett for coming up with this idea. And I will just quickly recap my upcoming promotions or upcoming events. I will still get some class dates put out there too. It's been a crazy day with trying to wrap up the online sale before the end of the month and the end of celebration. But I do have the host code here if you're interested in placing an order. If you place a $65 order, you will get a free gift from me, some embellishments. And if it's a $100 order using this host code, you will get the free gift as well as the free class that I will have in March. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that it was helpful to you guys. And then again, the Waves of the Ocean deadline for registration is coming up. We will be making lots of projects and having lots of fun with this event. I'll add the registration link to this video description. And then we have the Beyond the Horizon Paper Pumpkin class that Laura and I will be doing together as well. We did our retreat last month, or this month. It feels like it was last month, but it was this month. You can still get the all access pass for that. And then we're going to do a bonus class because when we realized that Paper Pumpkin was featuring Beyond the Horizon, we knew that we had lots of people that really loved this product line. So I just have to confirm the prices. If you're interested in this and you want to secure the current pricing, you can always do a prepaid subscription for Paper Pumpkin. Purchase it in February, which will also help you earn celebration rewards. And then you just redeem your code in March, and that way you get the current pricing because Paper Pumpkin pricing is going up in March. So if you have let me know that you want to do this, just confirm with me to make sure that I order it before tomorrow. Janet, I did actually add yours to an order I already placed so that we'd make sure you got the current pricing. I was just afraid with it going up that it was going to monkey with pricing and things like that. So anyhow, does anyone have any questions? I will, I'll post to let you guys know if I can get back at 7. And I do need to come back and do the draw for you guys for commenting yesterday with, I think I had said if you posted a project, but I need to go back and check what that was. So yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If I don't see you later live, I will be live tomorrow at 4:30 Central. And make sure that you comment here to tell me which remaining celebration items you guys would like me to showcase for you tomorrow. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks again for joining.